Hello, everybody. I hope that your day is going really well. Yesterday, I released a video about my new challenge, 30 days of taking out the trash. We're going to be free writing every single day, at least 3 pages in our handy dandy spiral notebook from the local drugstore. And this exercise is going to totally rewire our brain and help us actually move forward in a lot of ways where we're currently feeling very stuck. So I urge you to go watch that video. But today, let's talk about what's going on today. Now, the moon moves very, very quickly. It takes only about 2.5 days to transit one single sign. But today, the moon is going from Pisces into Aries, and we have this beautiful trine between the moon in Aries and the sun in Leo. The important thing for you to know is that both of those signs are fire signs, and they're what they sound like. They're very fiery. They're very interested in taking action, leaping before they look. Fire signs, they can feel a little explosive. They're not ones to hold grudges, where some of these water signs and earth signs might really hold on to their feelings for quite a long time and hold them against you. A fire sign is going to feel really big and explode about it and then be over it and move on. And so this energy today is looking a little explosive, and you know, it's always exciting. These fire signs are always very exciting. So if you have a day where you're feeling unusually fiery, that could definitely explain it. Now, one of the things that I want to mention today is the importance of handling our anger, because I mean, I don't have to talk anybody into this, right? When we are existing in a place of anger, it can get ugly for other people around us and for ourselves. Who enjoys anger? I mean, honestly, my Mars is in Aries, and I do enjoy feeling angry sometimes, but it's not healthy and it's not good for our physical bodies. One of the most important things that we can do for ourselves is find productive ways to process our anger. And so I want to draw your attention to a couple of different sessions that I have on this topic. So hold on. Share the screen. Zoom updated on my computer, and it's all new buttons. This is allyduzette.classes.com. If you haven't done the foundational sessions, I'm going to recommend it. The betrayal session is brand new. It is one of my most recent sessions. And a lot of our anger actually does come from feelings of betrayal. So if you're feeling very angry about a betrayal, I'm going to recommend that session in particular. Um, okay, a lot of anger comes because we are not engaging our boundaries appropriately. Okay, when people overstep their boundaries, when people overstep our boundaries, it's inappropriate, and the natural response is anger. We don't have to respond in anger. It's possible to have a boundary against even that and say, even when people step on my boundaries, I have a boundary that I handle it with grace. But the fact remains that boundaries and anger kind of go hand in hand. When people are not respectful of each other and when they're up to no good and it affects other people, that's a boundaries issue. And healing your boundaries can help you get to the root of what your actual anger issues are. Now, I do have a healing from anger session, and this one is on the more expensive side. I think it's a very astonishing session. I don't have a huge salesy email with it or a sales page with it. Let's see. Yeah, it's like $500. I think I'm gonna put it on sale today, and maybe I'll put it on sale for the whole week. And if that is so, then go check the link below, because I'll put a coupon code in there. But this one, the reason why it is so expensive is because this exact session, in my opinion, is, let me think of how to put it correctly. It's one that you want to be careful with, because it works with a thing that I call pathways, which is something I feel that I discovered, which is it comes back to this question of how do emotions become created anyway? If you've heard of the emotion code and trapped emotions, like that's cool, but what's trapping these emotions? That was my real question. What's trapping them? How come they're getting trapped? What's making them and then not letting them go through all the way? And when I tuned into it and looked at it, what I found was that it's kind of like our spirits have almost organs that generate different emotions. So you'll have like a series of spiritual organs that are creating the energy of anger and organs that create the energy of anxiety, which is why my anxiety series is also on the more expensive end, because this is how these sessions work. When I created these sessions, they were designed to unclog the pathways that are letting anger get trapped. If you feel like you have a lot of trapped anger, these sessions unclog that. But if you think of it, I mean, like any kind of clog of anything, if you have a clog in something and there's getting to be this huge, huge, huge backup, when you unclog it and stuff is actually able to go through, it goes through. And that can cause some problems of its own, right? So people that use my anxiety series and my anger series, and I mentioned this, right up front as I'm doing right now. Um, these are doozies. They unclog that, and then here comes the outburst. So a lot of times people feel more angry in the short term. They might feel more anxiety in the short term as their bodies are physically processing the chemicals of that anger and anxiety, so that it can actually leave you forever for real. So what I find is that when people do this, almost 100% of the time, they do feel more anxious and more angry for the short term. I don't think more than 3 weeks. It just depends on the person and how severe their backlog is, but they're going to feel those feelings as those chemicals come up to be metabolized. All of our emotions are chemical, and to get them out of our body, we have to metabolize them. And this metabolism process is a physical chemical process involving our liver, involving our digestive organs. And as we are metabolizing these chemicals, we're going to feel them. Okay, that's how our feelings work. And so as we're unclogging the way, we feel more angry in the short term. And then as soon as all the backlogged anger is processed, then we feel so much more calm, and then we feel so much more in control of our anger as it shows up in real time. The big problem is that we feel these angering, we experience these angering events. Our bodies create this huge explosion of anger molecules. And sometimes it's so much anger molecules that we physically cannot process them all at once. It's not even possible. Your liver doesn't have the surface area for that, buddy. So then what happens? All of those anger molecules just get shoved all about. They're shoving into your lungs, they're shoving into your shoulders and your wrists and your fingers and your toes. And then that's when you start feeling irritated, irritable, and angry all the time. We have this backlog of these chemicals lodged all throughout the whole physical body. So during this anger series, as I'm unclogging that clog, then, it's like, the anger in my middle finger is draining out and now it's going to go through, but you're going to feel it as it passes out, because we've got to break down the backlog from all of the times you've been angry in the past. And for some of us, we've been really angry about a lot of things over many years. So it's no surprise that when you unclog it, all of a sudden you're going to feel that laundry chute of anger just dropping anger until it processes. So again, that's like why it is on the more expensive end. I don't think it's really safe for people to just do on an afternoon for funsies. I feel like you kind of have to go into it realizing that this is serious business. A lot of my sessions, I feel like, yeah, you actually can just turn it on while you do the dishes and it's going to help clear stuff out of you and you're going to feel great after. This is one that I feel like needs a little bit more time and attention and a little bit more care as you go through the process. But it can be very, very effective. So let's go back over there because I want to talk about two other things. We've got frustration is going to be a really big one. I have so many things here. Here we go. Frustration. One thing that I talk about in this frustration session is the hormone of frustration, which is called nociceptin. And when your body is creating an abundance of nociceptin, you feel really frustrated and it's a really big problem. So this is one of my favorite sessions. I feel like it's just so all-purpose because so many people do feel so frustrated. And that's one of the core human emotions. This is something even infants feel as they're learning their first things that they learn and then learn that they are not very good at those things. What's the default setting? A lot of times it's frustration. If you've seen a kid trying to, I don't know, unscrew a lid off of something, or, they're trying to play with their toy and they can't figure that out until they throw that toy, and they get so mad. And that is the feeling of frustration. Here are some of the reviews of it. I was really looking forward to doing this. What's amazing to me is that I didn't notice any big differences right after doing the session, but several weeks later, I have noticed that I have a better process of frustration, if you will. Frustration is natural, but I don't feel it surging up overwhelmingly. Great information here. Love it. Yes, we're all going to feel frustration. And we're all going to feel anger, and that's normal and natural and important because all of our feelings have important information to convey. But what we don't have to do is live at the mercy of these emotions, right? We get to learn a new process of feeling them and then letting them flow through us and flow out of us. This can be very healing. Here's another review. My life suddenly makes sense. I have been trying to combat my laziness forever. I'm so excited to keep doing this. I have already noticed an increased ability to get things done. This is an answer to my prayers. So if you are feeling stuck and feeling like you can't actually get things done, in part because of your own frustration, the frustration session is going to help you. And it's especially good for today with this beautiful trine between the moon and the sun in these fire signs that really, you know, they can deal with some anger and frustration in pretty serious ways, So today is just a day where we have a lot of support to drag those feelings up from the bottom and start really working through them. Jealousy, judginess, these can also go hand in hand with anger. Let me see. I think I had one more in my mind that I was thinking of. Releasing perfectionism can be really helpful because perfectionism is often the reason for anger. We want things to be perfect, and when they're not, what's the default setting? Let's just explode about it, right? So, session for resentment. Resentment, I think, goes hand in hand with anger, and so this is one that I would also look into, especially if you know that you are dealing with resentment that needs to be processed. Okay, those are the ones that I wanted to talk about. If you are feeling extra volatile today, the stars have literally aligned for that kind of situation to be taking place. So it does make sense. Be gentle on yourself. Be gentle on the people around you who are feeling easily triggered as well. Maybe you don't feel super volatile, but the people around you are feeling volatile. I invite you to take your deep breaths and remember that all of us are impacted by the weather of the planets. This is a gravitational issue, okay? It's gravity. The moon's gravity is strong enough that it impacts the tides. And now I think I made a video about this a few, maybe months ago, but I think I found a paper about, I think, Mars and the role of Mars on water movement in the Earth. The point is that the gravity of these planets, they're so far away and they are so impactful, and they are impacting all the water on the planet, including your water, and you are over 70% water. And that's what this really comes down to, is the flow of water and the flow of our fluids through our physical body. And it's being kind of, squished and pulled, just like the moon, does its thing with the tides. It's doing that inside of our own bodies. Our own bodies experience a tidal experience. I would think the male experience with that is very different than the female experience of that. As far as like men run on more of a solar clock where their bodies kind of reset every day. The female body resets every 28 days with the moon. But we're still both very impacted by these planetary movements. And it's not just the sun and the moon. It's all of these planets. But exactly today, the sun and the moon have this reception one towards each other. So it's going to drag up anything in Mars and anything in Leo that all of us have. One thing to note about that is that Leo in particular needs to be appreciated. So if you are feeling unappreciated today, or someone else in your life is feeling unappreciated today, those big angers and resentments about that may flow up and not be very fun today. So that can just be something to keep a little eye on. As a reminder, I hope you go out and get your spiral notebook so that we can get started with our 30 days of taking out the trash challenge. This will be very, very good and very healing for all of us. So, okay, check the links below. I think I will write up a coupon for that anger class. And thank you guys for being here. I'll see you tomorrow, and we're going to get our journaling done.